This morning we're thinking about heroes of faith. People who inspire and have inspired us to take one more step, to get out of bed in the morning, to believe it's worth it. Who are the people who are in the balcony of our lives, cheering for us, inspiring us, heroes of faith? Keep that in mind, will you? You're going to be thinking about this and sharing it with another human being in this congregation this morning. There's a reason why I had you all sit closely. But that's okay. I'm going to give you a little time for those seeds to grow. First of all, let's think, what have we learned about faith so far in our journeys? Can we see the scripture, though, for a second? No, that was a rhetorical question, but in a minute I'll ask you to tell me. I like the second line. Faith is the conviction of things not seen. Faith is like the invisible bridge in a fairy tale story. The invisible bridge across a great chasm. The only way to get to the other side is to step out, but you can't see it. Faith is the imagination to see it. Faith, as you know from the Sermon on the Mount, need not be big. It only takes what? A mustard seed. Faith is the faint but transformational difference between total darkness and the smallest speck of light. To have the smallest speck of light is faith. Another thing to remember about faith is it is faith in, not faith that. We get fixated on what we want, what we think we need. Faith that something will happen. But ours is not a faith that, it is a faith in. It is a faith in the God who created the world. It is a faith in the God who didn't make the world just to break our hearts. It is a faith in the God who wants life, not chaos. It's a faith in the God who brings resurrection, so that death is not the final answer. That's where our faith is. But it's not faith that. And sometimes we have to let go of what we imagine we want. I said it in the prayer. It is faith in the author of life. And faith in the author who writes new chapters daily and creates new characters and devises new scenarios. Can you imagine that things could change? Could you imagine there's something new? You know, I see people here of all different ages. I think faith can mean different things at different times. I'm looking at my kids. I'm messing with you right now. Please forgive me for focusing on you. maybe for you, faith means just trusting without all the unknowns and hopes that you envision. You've got so many things. Oh, I want this. I want this. For you, faith could mean just relaxing into day-to-day hope, but not all the incredible scenarios you've got sketched. But for some of you, faith means believing there could be something new, that you are not stuck, that just what did Abraham, that Sarah, what does it say about Sarah? Keep going. Keep going. Oh, yes. By faith, Sarah herself received power to conceive. Now, I guess we should say it's an open question what you conceive. Maybe you don't have to conceive like Sarah anymore. But can you conceive? Again, a new assignment, a new reason. That's faith, and it makes all the difference. I said it before in the prayer, and I want to emphasize it. You don't have to be yourself one of these heroes of faith. We're a community of faith. So when you are faithful, we will lean on you. When you are faithless, lean on us. It's not up to any one of us. That's why we form a community. So together we can be faithful. But it's not about any individual here. So at this point, I want you to pair up with someone close to you here. And whoever already knows who you're going to say is one of your heroes of faith, I want you to tell it to your partner and explain what it is about them that's heroic, how they inspire your faith. And then that will help the other person respond and tell you about their hero of faith. So this is not what we usually do, but we're going to do it anyway. So find another human being. And for those of you who have trouble getting around, I expect someone to figure that out and come to you. Cindy, are you going to find Alice? I was going to find Alice. Well, both of you go next to Alice. Liz and Andrew, did you all? Now, this is working. We won't take, by the way, next week there's going to be a Heroes of Faith sermon too. So we're going to keep milking this cow till she goes dry. But would some of you like to come up now and tell the rest of us about your hero? This isn't what we usually do. So here we go, Bex. It's a real test.
My hero of faith is my grandmother, Carol Mobley, your mother. I think she's lived a very hard life. Things haven't been easy for her in terms of her family situation growing up, and then her whole adult life has had a lot of adversity too. And she just has a tireless hope and finds happiness in every day. And she's one of the most genuinely joyful, most joyful people I know.
I agree. She inspires me too.
One of my heroes of faith is Susie, who was my first college roommate. And Susie's led a very interesting life and has had considerable hardship as an adult, but she has always had sort of an unmovable faith in Jesus and his power over her life. And she's been a good example for me, and has been somebody who has, I know, prayed for me when I had some serious struggles with my own faith. And we still keep in touch all these years later, and she's been a wonderful example for me.
I know this is the kind of thing an aspiring minister who's seeking ordination should be able to do very easily.
While you're working on that, I'll just come up. All right. For me, my hero of faith was my maternal grandmother. Her name was Gertrude Henderson. And why she was so inspiring to me was she went through a lot of hardships, and seemed like one relative after another she was very close to died. My grandfather died 1 year after he retired, and then the very next year my uncle died at the age of 47. And she had to make a lot of hard choices early on, but she was always pleasant. And what I always loved about her was she would say, honey, you have to have your faith help you understand what's really important in life. And if you understand what's important, you'll always be happy. So I always tell people I never have sad days, I just have tired days, because she always said you can wake up any day happy if you know what's important to you. And she was very clear about that, and that's what mattered the most.
So my hero of faith is a man named Manny Alves. He was my first Sunday school teacher. And when my parents got divorced, he took it upon himself to ensure that my brother and I always had a male figure in our lives. And he would take us out weekly and play games with us and read us Bible stories and teach us what it means to be compassionate and caring for someone else. And that church is a family that cannot be broken, regardless of what our individual families may come up against. So this was a man who helped me to realize that my faith could overcome anything, and he inspired me to go to school for my faith.
My hero of faith are Paul, who used to be my partner for many, many years ago, and also Reverend Deborah Jackson. Living and taking care of somebody who's dying, and then you have to strike a balance between taking care of somebody and balancing work and then not going to church, forgetting about my faith. And I was told that when the dust settled, go back to your faith. When I first came to this country, many, many years ago, 27 years ago, I become worldly and earthly. I remember I forgot about my faith growing up in a Catholic faith in the country of the Philippines where 90% are Catholic. So going to church every day was suddenly being forgotten. The first year I was in this country, I go to church religiously, but suddenly, I would probably party than going to church on Sunday. Or go around in downtown Boston, go to the old Jordan Mars or Filene's, and then go shopping and spend. And then after that, I met Cliff, and then I came to the Baptist church, and then I met Reverend Deborah Jackson. And then she was the one who nurtured, aside from Paul planted the seed to go back to my faith, she helped me to see God again and striking a balance between being earthly and worldly, and at the same time keeping your faith and also maintaining being kind to other people. So these are all my heroes of faith.
We can bring the mic to anyone if they prefer. Well, thank you very much. You know the song, "For All the Saints," because the beautiful story is that community of faith I was talking about, it's not only those of us who are here. It's also those who have gone before, and they are still with us spiritually to inspire us. So this morning we thank God for Gertrude and Paul and the Reverend Deborah and Benny and Carol, my mom. Oh, and Susie. Was there anyone else? And all those you didn't come up and say. And so now let's sing our hymn of this moment.